Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
So my question is the American dream still possible in your opinion? Because I've seen a lot of things and headlines recently that have made me really scared as someone who's 18 years old, seeing things about how like $100,000 a year just doesn't cut it anymore to get by. And I'm just kind of scared for my future. So I wanted your input.
Okay. I think if you go back and had some fun and went back and read headlines at any time in the last 150 years, you could find headlines that would tell you the same thing. 1950, 1940, 1970, 1990. I think you can always find headlines that say that the world is coming to an end and that the dreams are dead. My friend Zig Ziglar used to say, he said, every morning I read the Bible and I read the newspaper so I can tell what both sides are doing.
Yeah, so whatever you look for, you will find. And so this is part of it. Is there's a mindset issue I can tell already here, but let's lay out your financial situation as to why at 18 you're already feeling this cynical.
Right. So I had gone to out-of-state college for my freshman year. I just finished that up. And I accumulated $16,000 in student loans. They're all federal, but I wasn't happy about that, and I started listening to Dave and kind of realized that was a poor decision. So I came back home, and I'm going to be going to a community college and then transferring to an in-state university to like cut down that cost and not go into more student debt.
Good for you. What are you studying? What are you studying?
Finance.
Good for you. Okay. And so what makes you believe that if you get a degree in finance that you can't prosper in America today other than headlines?
Well, I don't know if one of my issues, too, is where I live. I live on Long Island, and, like, a good house around me would be about, like, $600,000. And, you know, I'd want to follow your rule of paying 20% so I don't have to pay for the private mortgage insurance and stuff. So that's
and again, at no time in history has an 18-year-old bought a good house.
In Long Island.
That's fair.
You know,
I mean,
unless they hit the lottery or something. I mean, so it takes a little while to get out there, get your career moving, get your income moving, and, you know, maybe when you're 30, you buy something on Long Island, because Long Island's wonderful, but it's one of the most expensive real estate markets in the world. I mean, Manhattan, right. Long Island, Silicon Valley, Orange County. I mean, there's, you know, you can go into some of the major cities, Tokyo, London, and you know, normal people making normal incomes can't afford to buy a home in those markets. Never have been able to, by the way. That's not new. When I was your age, you know, an 18-year-old making a normal income couldn't even think about living in Manhattan or Long Island.
It's called an ultra-high cost of living area, which means you need an ultra-high income. But that does not translate to the American dream is dead. The dream of an 18-year-old owning a $600,000 home on Long Island is dead, but that dream was never alive.
All right, that's a fair point.
Okay.
So what is your definition here? What are you actually looking to achieve?
I think my goal really is to just, you know, kind of everything you guys say, be able to, I mean, now I just have a little bit of debt, but get out of that debt, stay out of any future debt, buy a home, you know, just finish my good career, those things. You know?
So everything you just laid out for us is very much possible. Can you get out of $16,000 of debt? Yes. Can you stay out? Yes. Can you build an emergency fund, making a normal salary and working in something related to finance? Yes. Now, the house is going to take longer to save up for, depending on where you're going, but it always has taken a long time to save up for.
Right. Okay, so maybe I'm being a little too ambitious.
Well, I don't know. I don't know why an 18-year-old's glued to the headlines anyways.
I'm not saying you're too ambitious. I'm just saying don't base an overarching statement of the American dream is dead or you can't, meaning you can't prosper, you can't win, based on you can't afford to do something today. Those are two different things. That's all we're saying. And so, yeah, you can get there, but the way you win this stuff is one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. It's not very few people leap into success. Most people do it by degrees and by, course correction and a little bit of time and this and move and keep scratching, keep clawing. And, you work your butt off for 20 years and you look up and you're an overnight success, that kind of thing. And that's, that's what you're facing is there's an incremental process in this journey that, I was talking to somebody about this morning. It was Deloney, actually. We're talking about, and with one of our producers as well, that since the advent, was it 2003 the smartphone came out? If I remember right, Apple did the smartphone in 2003.
The
so it's
original one.
20 years that we've all been living with increasingly with a magic wand in our hand. We can access the entire breadth of the world's knowledge, give or take idiots on the internet. You can access and purchase, push a button, things show up on your front porch. You can book a tea time. You can book a restaurant. You can book a Uber. You can, all with this magic wand in your hand. You can send a text to a friend anywhere in the world and they'll get it instantly. You can send an email to a friend anywhere in the world and they'll get it semi-instantly. Never in the history of mankind have we been able to do things so efficiently and so quickly. And what it's done to all of us, including me at 63, not just Dylan at 18, is that has spoiled us and we have no patience. I have absolutely no patience. My reasonable, there was a day I could actually stand in line for something. I refuse to stand in line for anything. And I think it's because of this stupid smartphone.
I think it's atrophied our delayed gratification muscle.
Exactly. I am unwilling to wait for anything. And Dylan, I think you got a little bit of that infection too, and so does George, and so does everybody listening to this. We're less willing to wait for anything than probably in the history of mankind because we don't have to. We've got a magic wand in our freaking hand. It's magic. Right. It just touch it and stuff happens, man.
And Dylan, I'm going to send you a copy of my book, Breaking Free from Broke. I wrote it for that exact reason, to show people it's still possible. And most people, they overestimate what they can do in a year. They underestimate what they can do in a decade.
There you go.
That's
the quote.
From 23 to 33, I was broke to millionaire. I thought it wasn't possible, and I followed a proven plan.
That's the quote. Dylan, you're going to be fine. You're going to be very prosperous. You're the right kind of guy. You're thinking and you're asking the right questions. Turn off the news. It's never caused someone to be successful yet. George, I had an additional thought because it comes up in my argument with Rachel over housing right now. That people are really Gen Z struggling to get a home because it's a real tough time to buy a house, and Gen Z to buy their first home has a really difficult market to do it in. It's one of the toughest markets maybe in 40 or 50 years. Okay, legitimately, it's tough, but then it goes to where Dylan was, and that translates with drama into people's minds and say, "Oh, well, that's it. This whole thing called America's over because I can't buy a house right now when I want to." So by definition, that means this thing's over because wages have not gone up as fast as house prices, and so we're just screwed. And that just is the end of times. Jesus is coming back. That's it. We're going to be left behind. Do it. I mean, that's
Call
it.
Kirk Cameron.
That's it. And so, what happens is that I can't do it right now. Inject a little drama into that fact, and that translates to this whole thing is over.
It'll never happen.
Yeah, the American dream is dead. Home ownership is dead. It's unrealistic. And you boomers who bought your house for a basket of strawberries don't understand. So the actual, and that's all over, stupid tic-tac and everywhere, right? The whining and the victimization of the Gen Z, right?
If we don't laugh, we cry. So you got to make memes about it.
The truth is, it is very tough. And the truth is, for Dylan right now, he's looking at some very tough things. But the truth is that you can never, in your decision-making paradigm or your philosophy or theology of life, take a snapshot, a still-framed snapshot of a moment in time and declare that to be true about life. That's not true about life. That's true about a moment in time because life is not a snapshot. Life is a film strip. So the next frame in the film strip, something has moved and changed. And then the next frame, something has moved and changed again. Thus, we get a movie, right? Frame by frame by frame by frame by frame. So if you took a snapshot when I came out of college, so slightly older than Dylan, with a finance degree, as a baby boomer, I'm the last of the baby boomers. I was born in 1960. And that's the last date of baby boomers. Everyone after that is another generation. That's the last date of boomers, okay? So I'm the youngest of the boomers. I came out of college in 1982. Interest rates for houses were 17%. So, hey, 6%, hold my beer, okay? They were 17%. And so if I took that as a snapshot at 22 years old and said, I can't afford a house, because guess what? Nobody could. If I took that as a snapshot at that moment in time and extrapolated that because of drama as a new way of looking at America, how wrong would I have been? It's inaccurate. It's inaccurate.
And if you believe that, then your actions will follow and you'll never
right, because
progress.
It's over.
Why would you?
You're screwed.
Why would you try?
But you know what you can be sure of? At 17%. Next year, it's going to be higher or lower, but it's unlikely to be 17%. By the way, by 1984, I was selling homes. I was 24 years old with a real estate license. I was selling homes in a 14% fixed rate market, and people were buying them.
Wow.
Wrap your brain around that. I can't even get my brain around that today, and I did it. I was there. But I can't get my brain around it. But if you took a snapshot of that, that's the year, by the way, that adjustable rate mortgages were invented.
Wow.
When we were at 14 fixed, we came up with, the very first time I was 24 years old, I heard of an adjustable rate, an ARM mortgage, and we could sell them for 12%. 2% less than fixed rate.
And people ran toward
and they were running towards anything to get the stinking sky-high rates down. And then before we knew it, we were back down at 10. And then I said, we'll never go below 10. And, of course, we sure did. We went to 9. And then we'll never go below 9. We'll never see. And then we're at 6, and we stayed at 6 forever. And then 2008 happened, and they jammed the rate down to try to recover the economy down into the 3s, and it stayed down in the 3s. So all of that to say, there's a little history lesson, boys and girls, of interest rates, but interest rates affect house affordability, home affordability, because a lot of people borrow to buy a home. Not everybody does, but a lot of people do. And so you cannot take a snapshot in time and say, this is your whole life. This is your life today. What about 1988 when I filed bankruptcy? And I had a brand new baby, a toddler, and a marriage hanging on by a thread. What if I take a snapshot of that and say, this is my entire life? And you extrapolate that as if it is the future.
As if it's your identity
You graft
forever.
your current crisis into the future, and you say, this is all there is. That's not glass half full. That's inaccurate critical thinking skills. They're improper critical thinking skills because it's not how things work. It's not a snapshot, boys and girls. It's a film strip. And so, yes, it's very tough right now for a Gen Z to buy a house. I completely understand that. Is this a permanent problem? Absolutely not. 100% sure it's not. How's it going to be solved? Well, heck, I don't know. I didn't know how they were going to solve 17%. I didn't know. I had no idea George would be driving an electric car. What do I know?
Didn't know those existed when I was 18.
I thought that was a battery with wheels that catches fire, but you still drive it. And so, it's there's see what I'm saying? It's just this is. And I think that's worth talking about, y'all. I think it's a big deal because hope deferred makes the heart sick. That's Proverbs. Hope deferred, hopelessness, hope deferred makes the heart sick. And when the heart is sick, you were saying exactly right about it affects your decisions, so it affects your behaviors. So you don't engage in things that are going to cause you to win because your heart is sick and hopeless.
Well, it's cynicism at the end of the day. That's what this generation's facing, and that just means it's negativity wrapped in fear. So I'm going to be negative, and I'm scared it's never going to be any different, and therefore I'm going to tweet about it and make fun of it because it's the only way I know how to cope with it. And I think we also meet people who are 18 who are rock stars who go, yeah, it's hard, but you know what? I'm going to get the second job for now, and I'm going to get out of debt. I'm going to stay out of debt. It just points back to the Ramsey plan. If you really believe that there's no hope, then stay out of debt and get out of debt is your best bet to get to where you want to be.
It works in down times and it works in up times. It's the only plan that works in both. And so that's the thing. It's distressing because I want to, and I'm going to be as best I can, empathetic, not sympathetic, but empathetic to people's, if you're 26 and you're distressed because you can't buy a house right now, I get it. That's what empathy is. That means I get it. I see you, okay? You're seen. I am not going to let you engage in my presence with improper critical thinking skills, inaccurate critical thinking skills, and that is to extrapolate with drama your current stuckness into the future. You are not stuck forever. You're stuck today. Some of you can't do it. But, I was on a stinking TV show doing an interview, and the guy's like, well, the median household income in America is $80,000, and the median house price is $426,000 or whatever it is, 400 something thousand. And that means that a median income can't buy a median house. And I'm like, yeah, but real people don't live in medians. Most of them anyway.
It's just a stat.
Yeah, because, median is the middle. It's not an average. It's the middle number. And so that includes Silicon Valley in that number.
It includes poverty.
And most people aren't dealing with Silicon Valley. It includes Orange County, and most people aren't dealing with Orange County. And certainly with a median household income, you're not dealing with Silicon Valley, or just like we were telling Dylan. So it's just an inaccurate way to analyze the situation, because it's not proper, and then it steals people's hope. And when you start stealing people's hope, I will make fun of you because you piss me off. Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.